One of my favorite comic book stories has to be the story of the Red Hood. I just find something so interesting about your former sidekick turning into your greatest enemy. And I think that's what attracted me to this movie. Because I've always been intrigued by the Red Hood's story, so I thought seeing this was a no-brainer. And boy, did I enjoy this movie. As a Batman fan, as a movie fan, it is just a great movie all around. So today I'm going to be sharing what I liked and what I didn't like about the film. And if you guys do enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to this channel if you like content like this, and comment below your thoughts on Batman Under the Red Hood. First things first, these castings are some of my favorites in any Batman movie. Now, I will always praise the Batman's cast with Robert Pattinson and all of them, and Heath Ledger does give an amazing performance as a Joker, but this cast really does some work here. We have Bruce Greenwood as Batman, who is good. I wouldn't say he's my favorite Batman actor. Kevin Conroy will always be my favorite voice actor of all time. Bruce Greenwood can be sympathetic when he needs to, when he's trying to get in reason with Jason. But he can also be very threatening to others, like low-level criminals in the beginning of the film and just other villains. Jensen Ackles is also great as the Red Hood. You can really feel the hatred and emotion in his performance, especially in Red Hood's introduction scene with all the drug dealers. He gives off such a threatening and intimidating performance, and I think it's just a great way to establish our main villain of the film. And I mean, that ending scene is some top tier voice acting. I feel like people don't praise John DiMaggio's performance as Joker enough. Now, I know Mark Hamill definitely has the best voice acted Joker performance, but come on. John DiMaggio definitely brings a different Joker sound to it. Usually Joker is known as this maniacal and high-pitched laughter kind of cynical voice, but John DiMaggio kind of brings a more deeper voice to the Joker, and I kind of like how different he sounds as the Joker. We also have Neil Patrick Harris as Nightwing, who I think was generally underutilized in this movie. He brings such a light-hearted and fun performance to Nightwing, and he definitely plays Nightwing how I would imagine Nightwing to sound. I mean, he's there in the first half of the film to help Batman discover the identity of the Red Hood and figure out who he is, but in the back half of the film, they kind of forget about him after they find out the identity of Red Hood. He's kind of forced out and not really needed into the rest of the film, and I think this is generally an underrated performance, and I think we need more of him as Nightwing. But I mean, big props to the cast here. All around stellar performances from Jensen Ackles, John DiMaggio, and Bruce Greenwood. Another great part of the movie is the tension. In every encounter between Batman and Red Hood, you can really feel the tension between these two characters, especially in that final scene. You get the feeling of fear, and like you never know what's actually going to happen. Will Jason finally kill the Joker and end the torture, or will Batman kill Jason? And it's like scenes like this that are just pure perfection. Or in the opening scene with just Joker and Jason. The tension there is amazing, and this opening scene really set the tone for the rest of the film. Because usually superhero films always start with a huge action piece, but this movie does not. It starts with Jason and the Joker in a room together, with Jason getting beaten by the Joker, with nothing he could do. And even when the Joker finally leaves, Jason still has hope that he has a way out. And as Jason crawls to the door, he finds it's locked. As Jason is sitting at the door, he sees a bomb. And instead of screaming for help, he just sits there. Which makes this all the more tragic with him just sitting there, realizing there's no way out of this, accepting his fate. And this all leads to the heartbreak of the film. The heartbreak from Batman allowing Jason to die, allowing what is now known as Batman's greatest failure. And the worst part is, it's not even on a major scale. And it's not letting a whole alien invasion happen or letting a bomb explode in a building, it's letting a loved one die. It's on a much smaller scale, a more personal one. And it's for Jason, it's the heartbreak of Bruce letting him die. And this is sort of because how naive and arrogant he was. In the flashback scenes, you can even see how naive Jason was and how kind of ruthless he was. I mean, this kid just goes in guns blazing and just starts taking out everybody, hoping for the best with Batman. And because of how naive and arrogant he was, he gets captured by the Joker. And even after all of that, the heartbreak still continues. In their final confrontation, Jason states that he's forgiven Bruce for what happened, but not what hasn't happened.
Bruce, I forgive you for not saving me. But why? Why on God's earth? Is he still alive?
He's heartbroken that Joker is still alive, which I can agree with. Because if it was Bruce to die at the hands of the Joker, Jason would have hunted for him. He would have searched the entire earth to make sure that Joker got what he deserved for killing Batman. But no, that's Bruce's code, the Batman's code, not killing anybody. And that is what's most heartbreaking to Jason, which is what leads to Jason's anger in this movie. Which, compared to Arkham Knight, Jason's anger and motivation here is not shared. Because in Arkham Knight, Jason is angry at Bruce for leaving him with the Joker in that abandoned wing of Arkham Asylum and not saving him. But in this movie, he's not even angry at what happened. Even in the final confrontation, he literally tells Bruce, forget about what happened back then. He's not angry at what happened, he's angry at what hasn't happened, the Joker dying. And it brings him to this conclusion, giving Bruce a choice and forcing him to make a decision. Kill Jason or Jason kills the Joker. And it's just that anger that fuels him and pushes him to do this. And the reason for all this anger and the tragedy that this movie sets is the love that Bruce and Jason had for each other. We see that Bruce is genuinely proud of Jason in these flashbacks. And although in those flashbacks where Jason's naive and arrogant and kind of wanting to kill people and being ruthless, you can see that he still loved Jason and it was all just tough love. And you can see this love from Jason too. You see that even at his young and teenager stages, he looks up to Bruce, like a mentor or a father figure. And that's what makes it all so tragic. Because he looks up to Bruce, he wants to go everywhere with him. He wants to go on patrols and he wants to go help Bruce fight crime, but he doesn't realize the danger that it could be. And I think that's what Bruce regretted. He wanted to take this kid in and make him rob him. And I think he loved that, but at the time, he didn't realize that this would lead to his greatest failure. And as Jason looks up to Bruce, he would only look up to him to be let down and killed. And after the death, we see the grief. That's probably one of my favorite parts of this storyline. It's just the fact that Batman genuinely feels bad for Jason and what he did to him, leaving him in that building with the Joker to be tortured and abused. And we can see that Jason is also grieving, but in a different way. Not for what happened, but for the time that he lost with Bruce. All that precious time that he lost, all because he was naive and arrogant. And what I love is that you can see that Batman is still being haunted by this day. I mean, if you lost your son to a deranged maniac, you'd be pretty sad too. And I think that's what this film does perfectly. It really captures the grief of Batman and his greatest failure. And finally, we have to talk about the ending of this movie because it is just amazing. This is probably one of my top 5 favorite Batman endings ever, with the Dark Knight and the Batman up there. So let's break it down. So they get into this amazing fight scene in Crime Alley. And the reason it's so good is because they are on an equal fighting skill. Because Batman trained Jason, and they just both fight like each other, which is why they're equally matched. They both know each other's strategies, and even Jason says, you always got your gadgets. And this is what makes it difficult, because Jason knows all of Batman's tricks and all of his gadgets. And as they're fighting, they tussle onto the museum. And this is where Jason confirms that it is him to Batman. It is Jason Todd. Because when Bruce kneels down to confront Jason, Jason rips off Bruce's mask, showing Bruce's face. So Red Hood takes off his mask as well, evening the playing field. And in a pretty smart move, this catches Bruce off guard. By actually seeing Bruce eye to eye since forever ago, it distracts Bruce. It blinds him. Seeing his son that he loved distracts him. So now Jason can trigger an explosion inside the helmet, which is actually pretty smart. And throughout this fight, we get some really great dialogue and action. You can really feel the weight behind these lines and these punches.
What bothers you more? That your greatest failure has returned from the grave? Or that I've become a better Batman than you?
You're ruling through intimidation and murder. You're just another criminal.
I'm what this city needs.
These are just two emotional beings, not having seen each other in years and not for the right reasons. And finally, we get to the scene of this movie. Jason finally confronts Batman about him, and everything here is just perfect. The Joker here is being as cocky as ever, with John DiMaggio giving off some great performances, some of these like really cocky and funny lines.
So, who's got a camera? Ooh, get one of me and the kid first. Then you and me, then the 3 of us, and then one with the crowbar. Then...
You'll be as quiet as possible, or I'll put one in your lap first.
Party pooper. No cake for you.
Jason being as angry as ever, finally confronting Batman and venting and getting all this stuff off his chest about what happened.
You know, I thought I'd be the last person you'd ever let him hurt. If it had been you that he'd beat to a bloody pulp, if he had taken you from this world, I would have done nothing but search the planet for this pathetic pile of evil death-worshipping garbage.
And Bruce being reasonable with Jason, saying he does want to kill people, but if he didn't, he would never turn back and he would never be the same person.
What, your moral code just won't allow for that? It's too hard to cross that line.
No! God Almighty, no! It'd be too damned easy. All I've ever wanted to do is kill him. A day doesn't go by when I don't think about subjecting him to every horrendous torture he's dealt out to others, and then end him. But if I do that, if I allow myself to go down into that place, I'll never come back.
And just everything here just blends together so well. And Jensen Ackles really sells the emotion behind Jason and the fact that this guy hates the Joker.
I'm not talking about killing Penguin or Scarecrow or Dent. I'm talking about him. Just him. And doing it because he took me away from you.
And he hates the fact that he's still alive. And because of this, we get to the decision that I've talked about for literally this whole video. Kill Jason or Jason kills the Joker. And this calls back to a past point, but this is so tense and for the right reasons. You really get this feeling of what's going to happen. What is Batman going to do to stop this whole situation and kind of defuel the fire? And that is just what makes this ending so good.
Now is the time you decide. If you won't kill this psychotic piece of filth, I will. If you want to stop me, you're gonna have to kill me. You know I won't. I'm gonna blow his deranged brains out. And if you want to stop it, you're gonna have to shoot me. Right in my face! It's him or me! You have to decide! Decide now! Do it! Him or me! Decide!
And to even end the movie, you just get this really bittersweet flashback of Bruce and Jason about to go fight crime. And I think everything about these ending scenes are just so perfect, just like the film. Overall, this film is just amazing, and if you haven't dipped into the waters of the DC animated universe, this is definitely a great movie to start out. It's got a really good plot, a good cast, and great action, which is something I didn't mention as much, but I loved in this movie. The action just always kept you on your toes, and you can never really expect what happened next. And I already mentioned this, but the fight scenes between Bruce and Jason are some of the best in DC animated movies, because they know each other's fighting styles. Jason knows that Bruce is a martial arts trained man with a bunch of gadgets, and Bruce knows that Jason doesn't have as many gadgets but is also talented as just as many stuff as him. But I think what complements these fight scenes is the animation style, which is like really clean, and it's really good because you can kind of watch it and it doesn't really strain your eyes, so you can kind of track it easily, if that makes sense. And I feel like the animation gives me a mix of Batman the Animated Series with that classic style with those classic characters and bright colors, and a mix of the more modern DC animated movies. I just think everything in this movie was crafted with so much love and care for the original source material, and that's why I love it so much. Like I said already, the character Red Hood is just such a good character because it's a mentor figure, someone that you loved and trusted now as your greatest enemy and your greatest failure. So if you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe, and comment below your thoughts on this movie, because I thought this movie was really good. And if you haven't seen a DC animated movie, this is definitely the one to watch, because I mean, it's fairly simple to understand, and if you haven't seen the story of Red Hood before, it'd definitely be a good one. So recommend it to some friends, recommend your friends this video, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.